It's a great afternoon and a great time to be here in Orange County. I'm reminded actually of a call I had this morning when I woke up from a gentleman by the name of Ruben Gonzalez. Some of you might know the name, others might not. But Ruben called me and said, congratulations, and you'll understand in a minute what he meant by that. And he said, have a great Olympic day and keep moving forward. Ruben's story is the following. Ruben grew up in Houston, Texas, muggy, hot, and he had one dream at the age of 21, which was to get into the Olympics. So he called somebody and he said, I'm ready to get into the Olympics. They said, well, first, you don't know which sport. Second, you're 10 years too late. But he said he wasn't going to give up. So he went to the library, did his research, and figured out he was going to get into luge, which is a winter Olympic sport, by the way. The reason he picked that is because 3 out of 4 people who get into that sport get hurt so bad that they give up. And he said, I'm going to be the one of the 4 who doesn't give up. And I'm going to be in that sport. Guess what? He went on to go into 4 Olympic Games and in fact set a record to be the only person to have participated in 4 Olympic Games in 4 decades. That's what Ruben meant this morning, and you'll understand in a bit when he said, congratulations, have a great Olympic day, and keep moving forward. It is a very special day for me today here, April 18, 2016. It is a very special day, as Ruben would say, an Olympic day, because I have the opportunity to speak to a great set of CEOs. It is a very special day because it is a privilege to share the stage with so many gifted authors. And it is a very special day, as he said, congratulations, because today I'm launching my new book, The Cisco Way. And I could not be happier than to share this wonderful day with you and this special moment. So it is a very big privilege for me. I'm going to start with Cisco. Just a year ago in June, 89 miles south of here in San Diego, at an event called Cisco Live, John Chambers, in his final outgoing speech as the final CEO moment for him, recanted a prediction he had made 2 years prior. He had said, 24% of Fortune 500 companies will not survive the next 25 years. On this day last year, he said he was wrong by a long shot. It turns out, Fast Company had reported a new statistic that was coming out of a research done at Babson School of Business, where they said 40% of companies will not survive the next 10 years. So here's a question for you. If you want to be in the 60% that will survive the next 10 years, you better listen up, because that's what is the content of this book on how to get ready for this new emerging services economy. I'm going to take you back to the beginning of this century. Right after the dot-com bust, there was a tectonic shift that occurred that shook the IT industry at its very roots. It was the explosion of the internet. It was something that took root in the late 90s, started to blossom and take firm ground in 2005, and even today it is pushing and stretching every boundary of expansion. My favorite author, inventor, and futurist is a gentleman by the name of Ray Kurzweil. In a report done by the Boston Consulting Group, BCG, which they call the Internet Economy for the G20 countries, the $4.2 trillion opportunity, they labeled it, they reference an old fable that Ray Kurzweil, in his book, the age of spiritual machines had repopularized. It's about a Chinese emperor who grants one of his enterprising subjects a grain of rice on the first square of a chessboard. That day he was feeling extra generous, so he said, I'm going to give him more. I will double it on every subsequent square. He thought he's going to get away lightly with this. 1 became 2, became 4. By the time he got to the 32nd square, he owed this enterprising subject 100,000 kilograms of rice. He thought, that's a lot, but it's manageable. The fun starts here. He got into the second half of the chessboard. By the time he started to move forward, the 100,000 quickly became 400,000, 400 to 1.6 million. By the time he got to the 64th square, he owed this subject 461 billion metric tons of rice. To put it in perspective, that's 4 billion times what he owed him at the end of the first half of the chessboard, and it's 1,000 times worldwide rice production in 2010. It had gone completely wrong. The internet had moved into the second half of the chessboard. People, countries, companies did not even realize it. Cisco did. They took advantage of that opportunity. They saw it coming. They retooled themselves and pushed ahead and became the #1 player in that market worldwide. Fast forward, 2012. President Obama laid out on May 8th, 2012, a presidential agenda for what he called the 21st century digital government, to digitize the entire government. TSA, Transportation Security Administration. A lot of us are familiar with them. They whisked 1.7 million customers through the ports, airports, and borders every year. That's a huge number. Over 325 different outlets where they work at. I flew into Washington to help build what was then called the IT as a Service for the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security, as a lot of you are aware, is built of 22 different agencies or components, as they are called. TSA is just one of them, CBP, Secret Service, White House, FEMA, CBP, they are the others. Now try to get 22 different CIOs who came with their own agenda because they had just cobbled these different agencies together, buy into your agenda of saying, I will trust you that you will give me an IT as a service model where I have zero control over that infrastructure, and it'll work. Good luck. That's one heck of a tough sale. So I decided there was only one option, which was to find one champion and start working with that champion who understood and could see the vision of what this would bring and take that forward. July 2012, TSA headquarters, Pentagon City, Arlington, Virginia. I had a first meeting with a lady by the name of Dr. Emma Garrison Alexander. We called her Dr. Emma. You talk about somebody who's forward-thinking and a visionary. This lady embodied all of that. She had grown up through the ranks in the NSA, become a total expert in cybersecurity, and she was the CIO of the TSA. She and I agreed to get our teams together, architects. We built the vision for what we call the future mode of operation, FMO. We laid out what the current mode of operation, the CMO, looked like, and we drew the map on how we're going to get from the CMO to the FMO. We put it into execution. 9 months later, we had a video installation across all of these TSA entities, bringing the entire organization together. She was then the evangelist that then pushed it through the rest of DHS. That is an example of how Cisco was trying to navigate when a new market came out, as in this case, as a service, the service economy, we were pushing that boundary. I take you now back to the future. 2016. You're now driving in San Francisco to the airport on Highway 101. And you see the traffic come to a grinding halt. You've got this meeting in JFK that evening, so you've got to get on that plane. So you start to fumble for your smartphone. Call your assistant. Have her look for flights that could get you there in time. Then you see Highway 92 and you go, I might still make it. I'm not that far. Guess what? A few miles away on Interstate 80, there's a 20-mile stretch between Carquinez Bridge and the Bay Bridge. It's called the I-80 Smart Corridor. The difference is there are metal loops and sensors embedded in the ground in the road right below your car that are capturing the traffic patterns every second, feeding it up to a central command center at Caltrans, and they submit information back on which are the routes that can be taken, which are the blocked routes, and which are the 44 on-ramps on that 20-mile stretch are most convenient for the drivers. 270,000 drivers use that stretch every day. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new world. A new transition, the Internet of Things. If we thought the Internet was one explosion, the 4.2 trillion opportunity, and then the as-a-service emerging opportunity, the Internet of Things is going to be even bigger. If you've ever been to the Mavericks at a town called Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco, waves crest at 25 feet, and they can peak at 80 feet. This is going to be bigger than that tsunami. There's 16 billion devices connected over the internet today. 2020, there will be 50 billion. 2030, there will be 500 billion. This is a $19 trillion opportunity. John Chambers said, this is going to be bigger than the internet. It is a given that the digital era has come. It is a given that governments, cities, countries, and corporations will have to change. It is a given that you, I, and all of us are going to have to evolve our strengths and transform our businesses to be in that 60% that'll survive the next 10 years. So what are you waiting for? It is time to get ready with those skill sets to be in command of your own future and drive it to become the leader in the emerging economy. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking the time with me.